The other day in the office, Jeff Cork and Jeff played through all of 1-2-Switch's games, the full lineup, and it was fun to see the raw reaction to this thing. Here's the thing.
Raw reaction?
The raw reaction. With 1-2-Switch, it's easy to take that snarky, knack-esque approach to this thing, and I don't want to come in and have this be just a joke fest. Not a single joke will be committed during this segment.
No,
I actually want to know how is 1-2-Switch as a product.
Okay, he's writing the review, so let me step in real quick. I'll give you my take. First of all, just to set a scene for you, so you can temper expectations and know like where we're setting calibration. I love WarioWare. I thought Wii Sports was fun, and I still think that one of our biggest mistakes at Game Informer, aside from not making Shadow of Mordor Game of the Year, was not including Wii Sports on the top 200 games of all time. I think we blew that, and I get very upset when I think about it, so I shouldn't have thought about it.
And Nintendo Land?
Nintendo Land was completely fine. Had some super fun times with it when we were like a group of us playing those games. So I'm not opposed to mini games. Even micro games.
There we go.
Okay. I'll say I was an outspoken fan of Knack too.
Okay, there we go. So we have mini games, micro games. What about atomic games?
Atomic games like nano games? Nanites?
What would you call 1-2-Switch's collection of games, Jeff?
Garbage.
Yep.
Okay, look. I said there's going to be no snark, but
no,
it's a descriptor.
It's not snark. It's not snark.
It needs to be said.
Yes, it is offensively just shallow and bad. It is a bad collection. It is, and I was just ranting like a lunatic to Cork about this.
He shook me by the shoulders.
I was. Why aren't you listening to me? I think Wii Sports, for all the guff that it's gotten from people, I think those, small collections of mini games, all of those did a great job selling the potential
100%
of that technology.
Yes.
And they were all fun. And they all made you want to grab other people and play them with you.
Yes.
And this is the exact opposite of that.
You will lose friends if you try and play 1-2-Switch with them?
If you bring this to your roof party, they will throw you out.
Okay, this is like the worst brand ambassador to a new console you can imagine.
Yes.
Why?
Oh, wow.
Because they are so shallow that you're not going to want to play them more than once. And a lot of them show the limitations of the actual technology as opposed to the potential of them.
What do you mean?
Like for one thing, for instance, I don't know if this is what you have in mind, but you are constantly putting on the strap or taking off the strap.
It makes you attach the strap? It knows when the
It
strap...
recommends that you do it, and because we're cool like guys who follow the cool rules.
But some games you really do have to take it off because you like put it down and it has to sit flat or whatever. But a lot of the games are just based on, it's basically like the hand slap game of who can react the fastest. And from a technology standpoint, that's not doing anything that the Wiimote didn't do. I mean, the Wii remote, like we said, the Wii Sports games actually did a lot more impressive stuff with the technology. It's not anything that your smartphone couldn't do in terms of just registering when it moves.
I think a lot of it, too, comes to there's this really strange insistence with these games that they're saying, look your opponent in the eye.
Yeah.
So they've got the instructions and interesting things are happening on the screen or your television, however you choose to play. But it does not want you to just disregard those. Look your opponent in the eye and listen to these audio cues to play the game. So you have a table tennis game. You do not see any representation of what is happening in the game. It's just based on audio. The Joy-Cons do not have speakers in them. So you're listening to like audio cues kind of to know when to swing it.
Yeah.
It's almost like this piece of conceptual art you see at a children's museum that doesn't work. And you're like, all right, at least 3M paid for that.
And again, the tennis one and the baseball one, were both basically Wii Sports games that actually, like how hard you swung mattered, the angle and everything actually mattered in the game. So they're doing these things that they did 11 years ago, but they're way less impressive and they're not as fun.
Does anything show off the tech well for the Switch?
Yeah, there are a couple, which I probably should have added that as a caveat before all the ranting. But there are a couple that do, that make use of the HD rumble. I think the best one in my mind is the safe crack one.
Yeah.
Probably, where, you hold it sideways and you're twisting it like it's...
A nipple?
like a nipple,
It's a purple
like
nipple.
the number dial on a safe. But you can feel it actually, like the rumble is precise enough and small enough that it feels like you're going through the numbers.
I love that feel too. I think I'm into this.
It it kind of feels like you're clicking through actual numbers, and there'll be one that's just a hair longer, and that's where you have to pause for it to click in.
Okay.
And so that is a cool demo, but then they don't do anything beyond that of just like who can do that 3 times in a row.
So this entire game comes down to, that seems like an okay thing to try.
Yeah.
Do you want to spend $50 and do that for how long?
It seems
that's the other problem.
It should be at a kiosk. It should be shown behind closed doors to developers showing off the tech. This is not a product that you should spend any amount money for.
Like I would honestly hesitate to even pack it in with the Switch for free to show off the things, because a lot of the other ones, they're like dancing ones where they want you to do all these poses and things, and what you're doing really doesn't matter. Like we did the dancing one, and as soon as it started, I just went like this.
He's flailing his arm wildly.
Yeah. And then at the end, it gave me an A for rhythm, and it's like.
To be fair, though, I saw you at your wedding, and you're doing a very similar dance.
Yeah, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good then, and it's not good now. But those are the kind of things where, you have this new piece of hardware, and you play something like that, and you realize, like, okay, it doesn't really actually matter what I'm doing. It's not registering it. Like the tech doesn't seem as impressive. There are other ones where, it just doesn't work as well as you think it should. Or, like the ball one. You have to count the balls. It's cool. You can kind of feel what's going on, and it's a different.
It simulates the rumble of balls shifting around in the controller.
And it's a different sensation, but it's still not accurate enough that you can guess right most of the times. And so you do it, and I watched your guys' impression when you played it at the event that they had earlier, and your reaction was the same as mine, which is that's kind of cool, but I couldn't really tell what I was supposed to be able to tell from it. So, at least with the safe one, like that's something that you can actually do and it feels good.
Yeah.
But then even there, they don't build off of it into something that you would want to replay more than once.
Okay, let's go the best game.
Sneaky Dice.
Okay, this is out of what? How many total here?
28.
28 total. Yes. The best game of all of them is called Sneaky Dice.
He likes Sneaky Dice. Yeah. So basically you both hold it and you shake it, and that's you rolling your dice, and then you flip it over, and it will vibrate how many dice the other opponent has.
Now, listeners at home, I recommend getting a pencil, a pad and paper if you have an abacus of some sort, because this game is just the most complicated thing.
Okay.
It's like Calvin Ball in Ben's mind.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous because it's very simple.
Kyle, for a normal person at the table, you want to have the higher number of points, and if you get doubles, you'll get more points. That's the abacus part of it.
Yeah. And the trick is like talking to your opponent. Like, Cork, like I can tell Cork, like, hey, you got something here. I could be lying to him.
You want to bluff them. But again...
So you have the rumble giving the amount that is in the other person's control.
Other person.
That is the only reason you're not playing this with real dice, is because it's rumbling.
Yeah, and that's the problem again, too. Like, the fun of it has nothing to do with the actual technology. It's not technology that anything else couldn't do, and it is a game that we could just play if we had 4 dice between us.
Yeah, you could be doing this game. You could play it on PS4. You could play it on PS3,
N64 with a rumble pack.
N64 with a rumble pack.
You could play it on your table with 4 dice, literally.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
You just gotta sneak a peek at
there's nothing special about it.
Yeah.
It's the same, with like the quick draw game. You have quick draw where the first person to fire when he says fire. Then you also have fake draw, which is the same thing, but sometimes he'll say different words that begin with F instead of fire.
Which is kind of funny because he goes, flower!
Yeah, it is kind of funny. But as a game, we can do it with finger guns, and you're going to get the same amount of entertainment.
How much are you charging for these finger guns?
$50.
Okay, all right.
I'll show you how to make it.
I think that's actually a really good point about like it's just as fun otherwise, because the other thing is they have actors that they hire to perform these visuals on screen, where if they had gone the WarioWare route and at least had like kind of that cool art style that WarioWare has,
a
like maybe
quirkiness to it and aesthetic.
It's really disappointing just on a Nintendo front to think of Nintendo. I consider some of the greatest developers of all time, and to think like understand. I'm sure this was a tight timetable, but this is what they get out of the gate with? It's really disappointing.
They can make mini games. They're good at making mini games.
They can make micro games.
They're good at micro games. They're good at all kinds of games. And there's no, there's like a team battle that you can kind of do, but otherwise there's no way of keeping track, from one game to the next who's ahead or behind or anything. There are very few that actually, there are a couple that have variations on it, but not many.
It's a simple presentation style. I guess it's slick, but I think you mentioned yesterday, Jeff, I'm like, this is basically a lackluster game jam collection.
Yeah, not even. You would get laughed out of a game jam if that's what you had after 12 hours of programming.
And also, there were extreme loading times.
There were some of them inexplicably have loading times.
Yeah.
For loading up.
To replay, quick draw, where what they're loading is two guys standing there aiming guns at each other. Yes.
Yeah.
What happened?
And the pacing of it, like going from game to game, just seems like the loading times and then the introductory videos.
Yes, some of them you can skip, but they're still going to give you more directions after you skip through it, and it's just...
Perhaps there's like an option that lets you just rapid fire, which would be fantastic, because otherwise it is just this boring slog just to get like... I just want to go like play a game that is literally just making a gesture like this, but you have to sit through like a minute and a half of exposition before.
There's a baby game.
There's a baby game. And I think,
and then we're not talking about Zelda anymore.
No. It will basically show a baby. You're supposed to cradle it and make it go to sleep. And
on
I think
the actual tablet.
Yeah, it's the perfect poster child for this game because it is as fun as taking care of a crying baby. There you go.
Is there anybody you'd recommend 1-2 Switch for?
The parents of the actors in it.
Seriously,
because it's their first and last gig they're getting. So
if you want to show off the Switch, show them Zelda. Be like, here's a franchise you're familiar with. This game is fun as hell.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is like, and there are going to be some people that are going to hear this and they're going to be like, "Hey, stop being so highfalutin. Sometimes you just want to play some fun mini games with your bros." It's like, nope, go back to the Wii and play some of those.
Yeah, or do Mario Party or Fusion Frenzy or whatever other collection of mini games, because they're just so shallow. And again, I feel like if you're going to put together a collection like this that's all based around the motion controls and those new controllers, they just don't do a good job of showing off the new capabilities of it, with the exception of a few that use the rumble. But
woof.
I have one nice thing to say about 1-2 Switch.
Let's hear it, baby.
I enjoyed watching YouTube play it. From my desk.
Yeah, but you enjoy watching us getting tortured too.
That's true.
Because you're sick.
I enjoy watching you guys chat with each other and make jokes. So this is basically the same thing, except sometimes your arms are moving more.
Yeah.
Let's play the dice game again.
I like the games where the object is to not move. That's really hot gameplay. So good job.
Yeah, it's called Zen, and you're supposed to do a pose, and then you hold it, and you have to stay still. And Cork and I did it for like a minute, and then it just went to a draw because neither of us moved.
You made the reference that it at times can kind of feel like Johann Sebastian Joust, which came out for PlayStation a while ago. It's been on PC for a while.
A plate spinning game, so you're supposed to hold it and you move it like this. And you're not supposed to look at the screen, even though that's where it shows you if your plate is moving around or not.
Yeah.
But basically, it kind of encourages you to try and push the other person or throw them off.
That seems like that can be fun.
Yeah, but it's not as fun as Johann Sebastian Joust either. Like they don't build it out with anything. It's just a thing that you do for a minute and then you're back into
You're using that tone too. Like that could be pretty fun, kind of like when your child is learning how to ride a bike and immediately careens into the garbage can and knocks it over. You're like, that's pretty good for riding a bike. This is a company that is asking money for a product.
Yeah.
So that could be pretty fun. Does not cut it. Good day.
Good day. Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can click right here if you want to subscribe and listen to the audio version of the full show. Full episodes air every Thursday, and they feature Game Informer editors sitting around talking about the biggest reviews, previews. We talk about exclusive impressions of Game Informer's cover stories. We have long-form developer interviews, everything that's great in gaming. So every Thursday, be sure to check it out.